Here we go.
At my signal, unleash hell.
God bless the geek.
Rules. We don't think so.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Please make a note of it.
This is the show where you hear everything geek culture.
Have you noticed we've been sharing our culture with you all morning?
Talking movies, comics, video games, TV shows, all from a geek point of view.
People who get it, get it.
If it's geek, we'll speak about it here on the Geek Speak Show. Here are your hosts, Henry and Romo.
Well, Romo, again, he is out corrupting the minds of America's youth. He's tutoring in Sacramento, perfect for Romo to be there because he's kind of the mental one here.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
It's Romo. No, it's producer Damien. So he will sit in with me today, and let's be nice. Let's have manners. Our mamas taught us manners. Let's introduce the new kid on the block.
Yes, let's introduce.
You go on the website, you see the Geek Girl search thing. It's not there anymore. Reason why? We found one. Her name is Violet. Hi, Violet.
Hi.
Welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Thank you.
Nice to have you on board. You already met producer Damien. You know me, of course. Say hi to everybody out there. Those are people who are going to be emailing you and just scaring you or just saying hi. Welcome to the show. Mm-hmm. Mostly scaring you, though.
Let's hope they say hi more.
Yeah, Romo, you'll meet when he does finally get here. Like I said, seriously, he's out. He's got a new job and he's out tutoring. I know, scary thought, but he's out tutoring kids.
Yeah.
And
Romo tutoring? What?
Yes. So when he finishes with that, he'll be here. He will be here this weekend, as a matter of fact, because we're going to be in Oakland, California, which is where Romo lives, incidentally. We're going to be there for the Image Comic Expo. It's going to have a little bit of Image Comics. Duh, that's why it's called Image Comic Expo. They're celebrating 20 years. Can you believe it? 20 years ago this weekend, Image Comics actually formed. I don't think they're going to have Marvel there, just my feeling, but I don't think they're going to have Marvel there. But we will see a lot of the original Image founders. Jim Lee will be around there. Of course, that means our old friend from the show, Jim Valentino, will be there. And we'll say hi to him also. Yeah. And some guy from a show that I think you like, Robert Kirkman, will be there also.
Robert Kirkman?
Yes.
Really?
And when you see, and we'll talk about this later on, The Walking Dead, I'm assuming
No.
No.
AMC's Walking Dead.
AMC's The Walking Dead.
There you go.
I'm assuming you saw it yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, why did I even have to ask?
Yeah, come on, man.
Do you watch Talking Dead?
Yes, matter of fact, I do. You know, last night they actually had Stephen Young on.
You are going to be in, well, I won't say heaven, but I don't know if dead people actually, zombies, walkers actually go to heaven, but you will be in zombie heaven because
there you go.
The Talking Dead will be done live on stage at Image because Chris Hardwick will be there, Stephen Yeun will be there, which is, what's his name? I just know him as Steven. What's his character's name?
Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn. Daryl will be there. So that'll be happening this week, and look for the coverage on our YouTube page, video interviews with Chris Hardwick and Robert Kirkman and everybody, Jim Valentino, everybody from Image Comics. That's this weekend. Today, however, let's go back to Violet. You said hi to everybody. Tell us a little bit about you. Not too much. Don't tell us your address or anything, but tell everybody, who you are, what you are. You are a human.
Yes, I'm human.
Yeah.
I don't
Vulcan
live in
or anything.
Zombieland or anything.
Yeah, you can tell us your sign and all that stuff,
That was last week.
That was last week.
Now we know why producer Damien is single.
Well, I am a food lover, I guess, or a big foodie, especially down in the Bay.
Romo's gonna love you.
Yeah, he's gonna really love you.
Well, maybe he can just pay the bills for food.
Oh, we were talking about this off the air also. Something else like Romo. No, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't go look for a female Romo. There's a scary thought, but I didn't go looking for one. No. Well, he probably does. He did have a Hello Kitty backpack when he was a little kid. But
I did too.
Getting too personal about Romo. Scary stuff. How do you handle those?
No.
There you go.
It's just a no.
Yeah. So. We will have, by the way, a very, maybe, not promising anything yet, waiting for confirmation, but I may talk to a couple of directors from a scary movie that you will like. I showed you the trailer right before we started the show, and she ran out of here.
I don't know how I feel about it, though.
Yeah, it's called Silent House. It's a remake from a Brazilian movie. This one, the gimmick, besides the fact that it's scary, the gimmick is it's based on a real-life event, which happened in 88 minutes. And you'll see it in real time, meaning from the second the event actually starts happening in the movie, it's all one shot, no cuts or nothing. So we may talk to the directors next week, or as we get closer to the release. March 1st is when it comes out. Silent Hill. Same weekend that John Carter, another big movie, comes out. So we may also get somebody from John Carter. No promises. Working on all that stuff for you. So Violet. You already know producer Damien. You know me. Again, we're gonna do the book club. She reads, so we'll give you a few of those. Romo Report. Yeah, he's not here, but you will hear him about the stuff that he likes. We'll talk, of course, producer Damien and I, about TV shows that we like, and I think he's going to talk about The Walking Dead.
No surprise.
Yeah, no
Really?
shock there.
Okay.
So we'll do that. Comics commentary. PlayStation owners, yes, today is Vita Day. No, not Life Day. Vita, the PlayStation Vita, is out today. Maybe that's why a lot of you aren't listening right now until later, because you're just stuck on it. But, it does have Wi-Fi in there. You can download our shows on your Vita now. And see, we're on all kinds of platforms now. David Lee, he will do the comics commentary. Last week was his birthday. We forgot about it because we were so busy with Geeky Valentine's Day. So happy birthday, David. There, he's happy now. But he gave himself a present. Not because he doesn't have any friends, because he can. He got the Vita. So he'll talk about it. He'll give his reactions and what he thinks of it later on in the show. We also have guests. Yeah, we haven't changed any of that. We still have them. We're going to talk to Scott Tipton, who's been on the show before when he came on to talk about Star Trek Khan Ruling in Hell, really good series from IDW. IDW has the Doctor Who comics and also the Star Trek franchise with them, Next Generation and Star Trek and the movie prequels. Scott Tipton and his brother David, they're going to write... he was going to break the news, but they actually broke it last week, so all of you know what I'm talking about. Star Trek and Doctor Who, two of the biggest sci-fi franchises, are coming together as one. Scott and David are going to write that, and he's going to talk to us all about it, what he can tell us, because it comes out in May. He's going to tell us what he can in a few minutes. In a few seconds, we're going to take a break right now. In a few seconds, we'll talk to Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket?
Yeah.
What?
Your nose is growing. Let your conscience be your guide. Not that Jiminy Cricket. Jiminy Cricket and Dr. Archie Hopper. Get it? The Hopper, Jiminy Cricket?
Yeah.
From ABC's Once Upon a Time. Yes, him. Raphael Sbarge. He's up next. Don't go anywhere.
The Geek Speak Show will be right back. Tell the world about that great book you just finished reading or read when you were younger. Send an email to books@thegeekspeakshow.com and your book will be featured on the weekly book club segment. Just a few rules. 1. The book must be in the sci-fi, horror, or fantasy genre, or a mashup of those. 2. Biographies are okay, as long as it's relevant to geek culture. George Lucas, Stan Lee, Steve Jobs, etc., etc. 3. No comic books, but graphic novels are okay. 4. You must have read the book and loved it. Don't suggest a book just because my friend's cousin, sister's boyfriend's dad said it was good. And that's it. Send your suggestions to books@thegeekspeakshow.com and you might hear your book mentioned on next week's show. If possible, we might even have the writer on to talk about the book. Books@thegeekspeakshow.com to have your book featured on the Geek Speak Show Book Club. Now back to the Geek Speak Show.
We are back on the Geek Speak Show. Welcome, Violet.
Hi.
Just introduced to our new Geek Girl co-host. Producer Damon is out producing, but he'll probably jump in a few minutes. So we teased it just a little bit. We've actually been teasing since last week, and we've gotten a lot of emails because there's a lot of you that love this show. Your sister actually is one of them, right?
My sister is a diehard fan for Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, ABC's Once Upon a Time. Every Sunday at 8 p.m., 7 Central. Created by a couple of favorites on this show, Ed Kitzes and Adam Horowitz. They did a little show about an island called Lost. You may have seen it. On the phone with us is, him on the show as Dr. Archie Hopper and Jiminy Cricket, Raphael Sbarge. Raphael, welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Hey, thanks so much. Fun to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, and for those who haven't jumped on ship yet for your show, I guess like me, I'm half on board. I've seen the first half of the season. Can you tell us a little about Once Upon a Time?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I have to say my elevator pitch is, I'm still working it out because it in a weird kind of way, it's surprisingly complicated to explain. And I have found that when I explain to people who haven't heard it, I see their eyes kind of glaze over. And try to give it to them. So I guess I'll give it to you with this disclaimer. But having said that, it's a show essentially that operates within two worlds. there is a little town in a town called Storybrooke, Maine, which is a sweet little town. And there is sort of another world, a sort of fantasy world that we find out is actually a real world, whereby which people travel. See, I'm already up a tree here. There are two worlds, and they people who are a character in one world are a character in this other world. And the people in Storybrooke, Maine have no memory of them having been a part of the other world because a curse was put on them. Are your eyes glazing over yet? And so what happens is essentially there's a little boy named Henry. He's about 10, 11, and he recognizes that there's this situation, and so he's trying to actually sort of corral people to remember, and he calls it Operation Cobra. And we are sort of essentially trying to fight the evil forces that are keeping us from remembering from whence we come.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, I mentioned Ed Kitches and Amber Horowitz from Lost. Not only them, and we know Damon Lindelof also he's been on the show a couple of times, but us as Lost fans, we had the same problem you had explaining Once Upon a Time, because when people used to ask, hey, what's the show Lost about? It's like, you start telling them it's about an island, and it disappears, and they're like, what? So
it's one of those, like, you got to see it. The interesting thing is that, I even had someone yesterday, and they stopped me and say, you know what, I got to tell you something. She said, I didn't think I was going to watch this show. I didn't think I was going to like it at all. But she said, you know what, honestly, I sat down, I watched the first couple episodes, and now I literally cannot get enough. So I'm convinced that Eddie and Adam have a way to subliminally place crack cocaine in the show so that you become instantly addicted. I don't know. It's a funny thing. A lot of people have said how they literally they're just ravenous for the next episode. So, and I know that comes right back from Lost.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time is very well written. I mean, when it was first announced, NBC had another show that's sort of like it. I think you know what I'm talking about, all of you out there. And so I said, well, should I watch that one or Once Upon a Time? And I actually watched the pilot, and my entire family, we're hooked. We're there every Sunday at 8 p.m. to watch you guys' adventures. And like I said, it's very well written, and more importantly, we like all the characters. We care about them.
Well, you have to say there's nothing like it on TV, kind of like how you're saying about Lost.
Yeah.
You can't, this isn't like a normal, regular lawyer show or whatever that's really out there on every network.
Right. And there's something else that you said also that I've heard a lot of echoed back to me, which is that people walk up to me and they say, you know, I can't tell you how much we enjoy it. My whole family gets to sit down and watch the show, and we all like it. I mean, my son is 7, my daughter's 9. She's really big into sci-fi and Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. They're crazy about it. You know, I drop him off at school, and his other second graders say, oh, I love your show. And then a mom says, God, you know, my husband and I, they're about 40, we love the show, but my 7th grader is crazy for it. And then there's this gal who, you know, works at the hotel at the front desk, and she says, oh, I'm so addicted to your show. She's about 30. And then my mother's 80, and she says, you know, constantly, I love this show. So it's got this demographic of sort of 8 to 80, which is, for all intents and purposes, in the sort of fractionalized universe of television watching that we live in now, everyone kind of goes to their room to watch their show. Yeah. It's kind of unique what they've done.
I think it's because the fairy tale aspect, you know, we all either read or they were read to us. I think that appeals to us. And then also us, the older audience, we're used to, like Violet just said, the procedurals, and it has both of those worlds.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, from the acting department, it's really fun to be playing two characters as well. So, you know, in the Storybrooke, Maine component of the show, I play a therapist, and what I can say, we talked before the show started. I can tease essentially to those of you who are following the show that Dr. Hopper, who has essentially been sort of the sole kind of therapist to the young boy Henry, will have more and new patients coming through in the episodes to come, which is interesting and I can promise exciting.
You mean from the established characters?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And then in the fantasy world, I played Jiminy Cricket, which is a again playing both characters, being able to sort of go back between one or the other. I think it's probably every actor's dream to be able to sort of really explore a character from 2 points of view. It's really fun.
Yeah, and then we're talking to Raphael Sbarge. He's Jiminy Cricket and Dr. Archie Hopper on ABC's Once Upon a Time every Sunday at 8 p.m. We're all there. I'm all there. Like I just mentioned, our whole families are there to watch it. But Raphael, how did you approach the Jiminy Cricket role? Because you know how popular it is because of the Pinocchio movie that we've all seen countless times. So how do you take that character and make it your own?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first went in to meet the guys to sort of talk about the part, essentially, what I asked initially was, well, do you want a voice match? I mean, did you want something? Are we recreating, kind of what was done before? And they said very clearly, no. We want it real. We just want it really, honest and we don't want you to do sort of any kind of impersonation. And that is indeed sort of the hallmark of kind of what they're doing. And when you say, hey, I'm on a show with, Snow White, Prince Charming, the Evil Queen, and Jim Cricket, there could have been a lot of really badly done versions of this show. Yeah. It could have, in lesser hands, it could have been really saccharine or kind of almost treacly. And so because they've been really smart about it, and I think they've sort of really wanted to ground the characters and make them just humans, as it were, even though I'm playing cricket, make them kind of real people. I think that's been kind of part of what's connected people to these characters. In terms of some of the research, what I went back to sort of figure out, the origin of the character of Jiminy Cricket, because it is kind of big shoes to step into, because he's such an iconic character in so many ways. The original book Pinocchio was written in the 1880s in Italian, and then Walt Disney found it and commissioned it and then created a screenplay from it. In the book, the Jiminy Cricket character was pretty peripheral. It was sort of a ghost-like character and didn't really speak much. And I guess Walt Disney decided that he wanted to, seeing the first draft, wanted to bring him more forward. So he became more integral in Pinocchio's, conscience in the movie. And then they hired, I guess, this. It's really. If you have occasion, you haven't heard it recently. I dare you not to cry, because every time I hear it, it makes me. It still moves me. The guy who they hired, a fellow named Ukulele Ike, who in the Depression sold 20 million albums. No small feat, I guess. And he has this wonderful voice. So he sang, When You Wish Upon a Star. And anyway, so in the course of all of this, clearly what they try and keep these characters, even though they're in our imagination, to sort of bring them forward and reinvent them again and make them fresh, so that my kids, who may or may not know these characters as well as I have or do, can still rediscover them for the first time.
Right, and again, we're talking to Raphael Sbarge, who is Jiminy Cricket and Dr. Archie Hopper on ABC's Once Upon a Time, Sundays at 8 p.m. I mentioned a minute ago the show was created by Ed Kitces and Adam Horowitz, who worked on Lost. You also have Damon Lindelof as one of the producers, also from Lost. Let me touch on a point that you made up a second ago when you answered this question. That is, when I know you can't answer for the other actors, but as far as your characters go, once you start filming and you get into the episodes, do you go to Ed and Adam or any of the writers and say, hey, the old line, what's my motivation? Where's that character going in? And do they actually give you an answer, or do they haven't plotted it out that far yet?
Let me see if I can answer. I think I know what you mean. The way it works.
No, I made you glaze over.
A lot of people. I'm sorry, what?
So now I made you glaze over with that question.
No. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people don't know how it. I'm currently. We're in the middle of shooting episode 119. We're about to start 120 next week. I think you guys are somewhere around 10 in terms of kind of what you're actually seeing. So we're way ahead of the curve. But I think it's for people who don't work in the business, they find it sort of confusing. Like, don't you know where your character is going? Haven't they told you? And in point in fact, actually, we don't. What happens in the next script essentially is guarded, kind of like the nuclear launch codes. We literally have no idea what's coming down the pike. So when the script gets released to us, we all run to our computer to read what the next version is. It all gets emailed to us, and they sometimes kind of they take us aside, especially if we have a big episode, and they say, we're thinking we're going to go this way, and it's kind of going to go, we're thinking about this and that. Obviously there's it's a long approval process that the scripts have to go through the studio and the network and everything. So I guess that's why they also keep it to themselves. And they're also making sure that it's really bulletproof by the time they release it. But in terms of kind of what they've worked out is they clearly have arcs for all these characters in terms of directions that they see them going. And then they have clearly a master plan. The thing is that you don't really know what they are until you get sort of hit with the next script. If there's something that's really confusing, or if there's something like, wait a minute, this seems really, like, for example, for anyone who's following the episode, I think in the second episode, Archie ends up giving away his patient file to to someone else, which is completely verboten, right? You would never do that as a doctor. Mm-hmm. And when I read that in their script, I was like, wait, whoa. And I spoke to them and they said, yeah, wait, you'll see coming down, there's a thing with the queen and she's got control of you. And I was like, oh, okay. And in point of fact, when the episode hit, everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got so many notes of people stop me. It's like, I'm so mad at you. And it all became clear, as it moved forward. So if there's something you really walk into that you need some clarification, you can always go to them. But in general, we get the script and then we kind of sort of go with, what's on the page.
Yeah, is that hard as an actor to take on a role like that where you really don't know how to play the character because you don't know what's going to happen later on?
Sometimes when you can think back, like 4 episodes down, you think, oh God, if I went back to that moment now, I would play it entirely different, knowing what I know now. But in a weird kind of way, isn't that more like life? Where here we are talking today, and if we had this conversation a month from now, how might it be different? Well, we're doing it today, and so it's informed by today, and you bring everything you have today to this conversation. So, in a way, that's what you sort of have to trust that. I've done a lot of theater, and I've done a lot of movies and other television, which tends to be sort of more devoted to sort of that one script. When you have the opportunity, in this case, to do what I call sort of long-form storytelling, what's exciting about it from the actor's sort of progression is how something kind of opens up, and in a certain way, again, like life, the way it kind of surprises you or can surprise you. Sometimes we do things that are seemingly entirely out of character, even ourselves, and those things come through the script, and then that actually. Those things could actually be the things that actually can sort of define, sort of really define a part of you in a way that had they not come along, it wouldn't quite be as clear. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I know exactly what you mean. It made sense.
Yeah. I don't mean to be too oblique, but there is somewhat of a leap of faith in it. And you play full out the script that you have in front of you, knowing what you know. And then next week you may find out that something is entirely different, but then you have to play it from what you know then. And then it, in a way, from an audience point of view, as you get to see the episodes and then absorb them, it makes sense in a broader picture over time.
Yeah, so a whole new audience now knows you from Once Upon a Time, of course, but especially our audience here on the Geek Speak show, we know you from such films as Independence Day, and also we know your voice from a lot of some big video games out there. So you, as an actor, which do you prefer more, on-camera acting or voiceover acting?
Oh, honestly, I guess, what I prefer is being able to go back and forth between both of them. Or all of them. It used to be people would say, do you prefer film or theater?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I like doing both at different times. If I were just doing, I have friends of mine who work entirely in voice acting, and they have wonderful careers. But it's nice being on a set with interacting with a lot of people as opposed to being sort of alone in a room with a microphone.
Yeah.
And yet sometimes it's really nice being alone in a room with a microphone and not have to deal with a lot of people too. So to be able to go back and forth is really great. The game, there's a game that I'm the voice of that's about to come out called Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm.
The particular writing in that game is much more like I think when we first started doing it, they sort of equated it to an episode of 24. So it's much more naturalistic and a lot less kind of screaming, which some video games do. Run, jump, hide, kill him. It's more character based, and that's more fun to do, and I've enjoyed that a lot. But coincidentally, or just sort of really by happenstance, half of my role now is in voiceover. And another tease that I can essentially give, I guess, is that Jiminy Cricket, that is the actual cricket version of him, we will see quite a bit more of him in the coming days as well.
Okay. So and also, Raphael, tell us, we know you again from Once Upon a Time, but tease if you can, tell us any theater work or any other work you have coming up that you want to tell us about.
Yeah, there's two things that I'd love to sort of tell about. One is something that I'm producing and then directing, which is a web series with Ed Begley Jr. It's called On Begley Street, and essentially you can find it at onbegleystreet.com. We just released a Kickstarter campaign as well, and Ed and his wife are building the most sustainably green, ecologically conscious house in probably North America. So it really is a talk show with a lot of their famous friends, and also really the evolution of the house. So, and it's really about kind of them discovering, kind of what the bumpy road to making this house, and also trying to do it the right way. So it's a show with a conscience, as it were. But that's called onbegleystreet.com. It's called On Begley Street, and you'll find it there. The other thing that I have been involved with for a while, something that I founded, which is a nonprofit called Greenwich, and this was again with Ed and Rochelle, but it's essentially a nonprofit that works within the current systems that you may see at various retailers where they ask you for $1, $3, or $5. But in this case, the money then gets taken in and then passes through to not one but 9 other local charities. So it's essentially a nonprofit that raises money for other nonprofits. So Ed is the face of it, and it's we're currently all around the Los Angeles area, and we're raising money for a lot of charities that really need the support.
Yeah, and we have a link to both actually for Greenwich and on Begley Street on the Geek Speak Show website. So you just go on there under link section. It's all on there for you.
That's correct.
Yeah, so again, it's Raphael Sbarge from ABC's Once Upon a Time every Sunday at 8 p.m. on ABC. Created by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz from a little show about an island. You guys may have watched it. And Damon Lindelof is one of the producers also. He teased us a little bit. We don't do spoilers on this show. But Raphael, thanks a lot. You are welcome back anytime to talk Once Upon a Time or anything else you want to talk about.
Oh, thanks so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you both. I really appreciate it. And say hi to San Francisco.
Oh, sure will. And hope to see you over here soon.
All right. Take good care.
Thanks, Raphael.
The Geek Speak Show will be right back.
Now you have another way to promote your geek product besides conventions. The Geek Speak Show. The Geek Speak Show has a loyal following that is just waiting for a new app for their smartphone, the most awesomest t-shirt to show off their geek pride, or
insert your product here.
Advertise on the show or on the Geek Speak website, or on both. And you're guaranteed to reach the same audience you'd reach at your favorite con. Interested? Send an email to ads@thegeekspeakshow.com for more information and ad rates. Movie and TV studios, comic book artists and publishers and actors know to come on the Geek Speak Show to promote their projects. Isn't it time you used the show to promote your product? Send an email to ads@thegeekspeakshow.com.
Get ready to speak geek
On the Geek Speak Show.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Gee, I wonder what we're going to talk about. Welcome back to the Geek Speak Show. Having a lot of fun today. Thanks again to Raphael Sbarge. ABC's Once Upon a Time, Sundays, 8 p.m. Catch it. Your sister watches it religiously.
Yes, she does.
So as do we, as do everybody else out there. So thanks again, Raphael, for coming on. Now, we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks. We did the State of the Franchise show. When was it? A couple of weeks ago now. Talked Star Wars, Star Trek. I mentioned that a guest that has been on the show before would be on, but he actually held off on that because he had some breaking news. And the news broke last week. You guys know what it was. If you couldn't tell from that little intro there. That is the two biggest franchises in sci-fi, Star Trek and Doctor Who, coming together. On to talk about is one of the writers, Scott Tipton. Welcome back to the Geek Speak Show.
Thanks for having me. By the way, I'll be stealing that music from my ringtone now. That was
I'll be happy to send it over to you if you want. So tell us what you can. I know it's been all over the news and everybody's excited. Our listeners, of course, are very excited about this. So tell us what you can about Assimilation Squared.
Well, it's big. It's huge. It's the big meaning of like you said, the two biggest franchises in the history of science fiction. Something that nobody ever expected to see, and we're the ones that get to do it. It's gonna be fantastic. 8 issues, starting in May. Written by myself and my frequent collaborator, my brother David, along with longtime Doctor Who writer Tony Lee, giving us a helping hand on the Doctor Who side of things, and with gorgeous painted art by J.K. Woodward, who's probably best known for his Fallen Angel series. He did Peter David. Just fantastic stuff.
Yeah, and it's going to be published by IDW,
IDW, of course.
Yeah. So with this Assimilation Squared, it's going to be not Kirk, Spock, everybody. It's going to be the Enterprise D, Captain Jean-Luc Picard and company, and meeting up with the TARDIS. Not too many points, the plot points don't give them away, but basically, what is the story going to be about?
Well, again, we don't want all the fun's in Discovery, so we can't give away too much. But with the title itself, and the title itself, and some of the art that's been released has tipped off the fact that I think you can expect to see some Borg and some Cybermen, and it's not going to be good for people.
Yeah, who came up with the idea actually to bring these two together finally?
Well, in terms of the crossover itself, this was something that I know IDW had been wanting to do for a while. Was something this ambitious, and after the success of Star Trek and Legion of Superheroes that they did with DC, I think that kind of opened the door a bit for the BBC to realize that IDW can do these kind of projects and do them well, and that there was a market for it. And I think that the success of the Legion book kind of opened the door a bit, and then the various licensors started talking, and then I got a phone call that said, "What do you think of this, and what could you do with it?" And I said, "Oh, I could do lots with that."
So you and David must have been really excited for this.
Yes, it's a great opportunity because we're longtime Star Trek fans and longtime Doctor Who fans, and the last 3 seasons of Doctor Who, 3 or 4, since it's come back, I've just tremendously enjoyed. I think probably season for season some of the best storytelling on television, and I've really liked seeing it kind of catch on in America in a much bigger way in the last couple of years, and then to get the chance not only to write it but to write it in a story like this is just fantastic.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the cult is so big over there, and you're just joining them both. So
I don't think Americans really realize just how big Doctor Who is in the UK. I mean, it's their Superman. It's their biggest franchise. I mean, literally, kids grow up watching it and there's several generations now who like it's kind of their biggest mythic hero.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because last year we covered WonderCon here in San Francisco, which is Comic Con's little brother, not as huge as Comic Con. But they had a Doctor Who panel, and Neil Gaiman was here. Of course, that probably had something to do with it. But the room was packed. It was like lining up for a Star Wars movie. The line was all the way outside the auditorium, and I was surprised because, like you, I didn't think Americans actually knew Doctor Who as well as the British do.
Yeah, it's really been the last few years. I think the popularity of the David Tennant series was a big factor in it because the Tennant seasons, again, really well done. It was really well written, and also had a romantic tone to it that I think brought in a lot more female fans.
Yeah, and speaking of, this one is going to be the Matt Smith version of the Doctor?
Yeah, it's the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, along with Amy and Rory.
Yeah, from the
new show. So everything's going to be staying current, and it'll be the current Doctor and his companions with a little bit of classic Next Generation flair to it.
And again, I'm going to ask you these questions anyway, but if you can't answer, just say I can't tell you yet.
Ask anything you like, and I'll answer what I can.
Yeah, you mentioned the Borg and the Cybermen. Will we see an appearance by the Daleks or Q or anybody else from the Star Trek universe?
I don't want to say for sure what you will or won't see. One thing you need to be careful of in a book like this is you don't want to overload it.
Right.
You don't want to. There is a concern that we're only going to get one chance at this. Let's drop it to everybody.
This audience, with this audience, all you have to say is, I don't want to make Spider-Man 3.
Exactly. I don't want somebody forcing Venom into my movie. Precisely.
Right.
So I think we have to be really careful to tell a strong story first. Have some touches there for the long-term fans of both franchises, some cameos perhaps here and there, but not to really overload the story down with the entire Trek Rogues gallery and all of the Doctor's villains. You got to try and have a light touch as much as you can in a story this big and this crazy.
Was the choice to go with the Enterprise D with the Next Generation? Was that you guys or IDW who came up with going with them?
It was kind of a combination in that when we were asked to write the proposal, we were told that they wanted to do Next Generation, but I think it's a better fit anyway. I would have recommended that myself. I think that tonally, Next Generation probably fits better with kind of the feeling of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And there's there's probably, I don't know if this is for a fact, but I would get a sense that there's a tendency on CBS side to want to be promoting the new Kirk, the new Spock, the movie era characters.
Right.
And so I think by just sticking with Next Generation, which like I said, it kind of makes for a better fit anyway. You kind of do your own story. And also, since they had just done Star Trek Legion with the classic crew, this kind of swaps it out a little more. Also, this is the 25th anniversary of Next Generation.
Yeah. So
it's a good chance to celebrate that.
Yeah. Speaking of, it's kind of early, and I just wanted the production. Have you been approached? And I know you're going to be busy with this one, but have you guys been approached, you or David or both, about doing anything with Star Trek 2, whatever it ends up being called, JJ's movie? I know you guys worked on a prequel, I think, right? Last time?
No, we actually didn't work on the prequel. Most of the stuff from the Abrams verse has been handled by Tim Johnson and Mike Jones.
Okay.
I believe Mike Jones is currently writing. I hope I got the name right off the top of my head, but I think he's been writing the current series for of new Trek adventures. And I know there's plenty planned to go along with the big film, but nothing in the works yet as far as I know.
Yeah. So like I said, I think this one's going to keep both you guys pretty busy anyway.
Oh yeah, this is playing on our plate for a good while.
Yeah, and when is it going to be released again?
The first issue hits in May.
For an 8-issue run.
Yeah, 8-issue series.
So we're
gonna have some fantastic variant covers too from all kinds of different artists. Where I've got David Messina has already been announced. I don't know if you saw Joe Caroni's variant cover featuring the Doctor on the bridge in the captain's chair. Just thought was just fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I need to get that one right there.
Yeah. We'll be announcing more of the variant cover artists as we go forward.
Yeah, so again, it will be called The Simulation Squared, coming from IDW, Star Trek, Doctor Who, together for the first time, written by Scott and David Tipton. You guys did it, by the way. We never had you back for a reaction, but now that I have you on, let me tell you, loved Con Ruling in Hell. That's what we had you on for last time.
All right.
Yeah, I went through all of it. Me being a big Star Trek fan anyway, but really loved it. So great job.
Fantastic. Great. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. So
that was such a fun series to write.
Yeah. I could tell going through it. What can you tell us at any other project besides Star Trek, Doctor Who? Obviously, that's going to be a big one. But anything else that you have going on, whether it's comics or anything else?
Well, Star Trek-wise, my recent book, The Star Trek Vault, is still in stores. And that came out just before Christmas, and it's a hardcover kind of look back at the entire history of the franchise, all the merchandising, all the series, all the films. And the fun thing about the Star Trek Vault is that we included reproductions of famous bits of Star Trek memorabilia along the way. So in the book, we have a reproduction of some of the first trading cards, some of the stickers from the bubblegum packs, the 1970s iron-on T-shirt transfers in there. We have storyboards from the films. We have schematics for Picard's chair from First Contact. All these are reproduced and included in the book.
So a lot of the stuff that I probably had or would want to have.
Oh, exactly. And the fun thing about that is I got to go spend about 2 months just digging through the actual archives at CBS and looking through all the items and the things you find and buried in the vault. And just absolutely bizarre stuff like the 1970s Star Trek freezer pop kit where you can like pour soda into a little mold and make a popsicle of Shatner's head.
Scott, you have such a hard job. How do you wake up every morning?
These are the kind of opportunities that don't come along too often. So that was great fun. I would be in the room and open up a drawer and there's like a big chunk of the Enterprise bridge just in a filing cabinet with a phaser rifle leaning next to it.
Yeah. Speaking of, and who would love that also is Christian Slater. Last year we also met him at WonderCon during that Doctor Who panel backstage, and he said, I don't know if you saw the show they had on Fox for a while breaking in. He had the Enterprise chair in one of the episodes.
Oh, right.
That actually came from his house. He owns it because as people know, he's a huge Star Trek fan.
Oh yeah, he's a big Trek fan.
Yeah. So he'd probably love this book too.
So that's still available, I think, in stores and on Amazon. And also, I recently had my first work for Archie come out several months ago. Sonic the Hedgehog. I did a little work for them. So we've got a Sonic story in issue 232, which is a lot of fun to write because I hadn't realized that the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise has like this super long and intricate continuity.
Yeah,
they're basically doing X-Men comics over there with like Sonic the Hedgehog and his friends. Mm-hmm. It's really great stuff.
Yeah, our producer Damien over here is getting excited when you mention Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's like my childhood.
yeah, exactly. So those issues are great. So check those out. Not the ones I'm doing, but just in general, the whole Sonic verse at Archie is really well done.
So I have to ask, what's it like working with your brother? Because I could not work with my sister. She wouldn't.
No, it works out great. The good thing is, Dave and I kind of have the exact same feelings about what makes for a good Star Trek story. So there are very few kind of disagreements along the way. It would be trickier if we really had strong feelings one way or the other. But for the most part, the episodes I think are the best. So does he. The stuff I have doubts about, he does too. And so, yeah, the working relationship's been great.
Yeah, so we're talking to Scott Tipton with his brother David. He'll be the writer on Assimilation Squared from IDW, Star Trek, Doctor Who together for the first time, finally. I also have a link up on our website for Blast Off Comics, so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Blast Off is something I just started up in January. I've had my own website for a while, Comics 101, which is like my site I've been doing weekly columns about comic book history. And I just kind of wanted to branch off on that and do something a little different with it. So while Comics101.com is still there, with Blast Off, we're really focusing on vintage comics, both the history of them and actually selling them. So each month we'll have a specific theme. Our first month in January was Daredevil, so we talked about some of the most famous Daredevil issues, and we had a huge collection of classic vintage Daredevil comics for sale. This month it's been EC Comics, the great horror and crime comics of the 1950s, where we're talking about all these amazing stories that were so influential and that are practically kind of vanished from the consciousness. And we also have a good-sized collection of EC Comics that you can actually buy and take home. So it's a kind of a good way to keep my focus on comics history and actually take some of the stuff I've been writing about for so many years and kind of put them in the hands of some new fans.
Yeah, so it's blastoffcomics.com, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yeah, and all easy for you. It's up on our link section. Just go there. You can find it on there. Also put some press releases so you guys can read up on Assimilation Squared and everything that's going related with Star Trek, Doctor Who crossover. And again, Scott Tipton, you're welcome to come back again once it does launch in May, you said it was?
Yeah, May. I'd be happy to.
Yeah, so we'll talk. Maybe you'll give me a few more answers and some more plot points then.
once submissions are out of me, I can give it a little bit more to work with. Yes.
Yeah, but that was to tease them, but honestly, they really don't need it because not only myself, but all our listeners, they're really looking forward to this. So looking forward to some more great stuff from you and David and everybody else.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks, Scott. And like I said, you're welcome back anytime.
Cool. Talk to you soon.
The Geek Speak Show will be right back. Tell the world about that great book you just finished reading or read when you were younger. Send an email to books@thegeekspeakshow.com and your book will be featured on the weekly book club segment. Just a few rules. 1. The book must be in the sci-fi, horror, or fantasy genre, or a mashup of those. 2. Biographies are okay, as long as it's relevant to geek culture. You know, George Lucas, Stan Lee, Steve Jobs, etc., etc. 3. No comic books, but graphic novels are okay. 4. You must have read the book and loved it. Don't suggest a book just because my friend's cousin, sister's boyfriend's dad said it was good. And that's it. Send your suggestions to books@thegeekspeakshow.com and you might hear your book mentioned on next week's show. If possible, we might even have the writer on to talk about the book. Books@thegeekspeakshow.com to have your book featured on the Geek Speak Show Book Club.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our next attraction...
Comics Commentary with David Lee on the Geek Speak Show.
Alright, a little bit different. We're going to do a little, okay, it's not going to be a comics commentary per se. First, David, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. So, we're not going to do, like I said, the comics commentary, but we are going to do something a little bit special. Not comics, but as I mentioned at the start of the show, today for PlayStation owners is a big day because the Vita has come home. If you bought it, that is. So you actually were one. I mentioned it also at the beginning of the show. Last week we were so excited with the Geek Valentine's Day, we forgot to wish you happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
So happy birthday.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. 31,
better late than never.
Something like that. Yeah, hey. Yeah, exactly. In the words of, I believe it's Cheech. Or no, it's Chong in Ghostbusters 2 as they're staring at the Titanic as it docks. Better late than never.
So, like I said, not because he doesn't have any friends, he does, but he gave himself a birthday present, and that was the Vita.
I did not.
You did not what? Did not have any friends or what?
Nah, the girlfriend and her parents are the one who got it for me. Come on now.
See, all the more reason to get a ring.
Yeah, there you go.
When you got in-laws or future in-laws like that, there you go. Perfect. So, bottom line is he did get the Vita. First impressions, what do you think of it?
First impressions, my initial thoughts when I took it out of the box and looked at it was, wow, this thing's a little clunky. It's a pretty decent size, and it's very clear by this design that Sony does not want you shoving this thing in your pocket like you could the PSP. It's something that, unless you're wearing like those old school Jinko jeans that are like friggin' massive, it ain't happening. It just really ain't. The hardware itself is very sturdy, very durable. The glass on the front, like the touch screen where you're looking at everything, that actually is real glass. So if you break it, you're kind of boned. But the buttons are really responsive. Actually getting a game in and out of the system is a little bit of a because it's so well put together.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I didn't get one, but I was over the weekend. I was for one of those video game stores, and they did have a model on there, and I was just playing around with it, just see what it looks like. What I couldn't figure out is how the hell do you get the game in this thing?
What you do is there's a little place up top that says PS Vita kind of engraved. Mm-hmm. Normally for people who are not fingernail challenged like myself, because I tend to chew my things down to the bone, you're supposed to get a fingernail up underneath that PS Vita little plate there, poke it up, and then you can put the game, just drop it right in like you would a memory card.
Okay.
And the games are like really, really small. I want to say they're about maybe an inch long, quarter of an inch wide, if that. And they're about, I want to say about a millimeter thick.
Yes, I saw the boxes next to the display at the store I was at. do they look anything like memory cards for phones or for anything like that, or they're a little bigger than that?
A little bigger, but the same architecture, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Can you download stuff? I remember you talked about this one time before. Can you download stuff on there?
Oh, God, yes. Now, here's the kicker, everybody who's listening in. When you want to actually go to download stuff, obviously you're going to need a memory card. Now, this time around, Sony has gone with straight proprietary software, first-party software to combat piracy. How they're doing that, I don't know, but I guess they're really scared of Jack Sparrow, Yarg, something like that. So you're going to have to go out and get PlayStation brand Vita exclusive memory cards. They're really, really small. I mean, we're talking you can easily fit it on a fingernail. That's how small this thing is.
Okay.
And it's very pricey. A 32 gig is $99. 16 gig is $60. So they do get pretty pricey.
I forget what we were talking about that one time, but you said that. Actually, was it? Now I remember now. It was at the beginning of the year. I asked you, what are we looking forward to? You mentioned you're looking forward to the Vita.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, but that right there, that feature, well, I don't know if you could see it as a feature or not, but when people download stuff, like movies or whatever it is, like you said, you're going to need a lot of space for that. And at $100 of a card, it's going to get pretty expensive.
It can definitely get pretty expensive when you're looking at shelling out for a 32 gig card. Plus, it's all proprietary, so don't even think about going and getting a third party card, because it don't work. The Vita can get very, very expensive real fast.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, I know you haven't played with it completely or explored all of it yet, but do you think this is a good holdover till officially PS4 is announced?
Yes, I do absolutely 100% believe that, because here's why. With the Vita, it's not only just a handheld console. You can also use it to control the games on your TV, depending on if they have that functionality built in. The game I got for my birthday does have that crossplay functionality built in. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I mean, come on. What would you guys expect from the guy who does comics commentary here?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, basically the way it works is you have to have both a copy of the game on the PlayStation 3 and the Vita. Once you have those two, you turn on the PS3 version, you turn on the Vita, and get the game going, and then you have to select Ultimate Controller on both systems. Once you have that set up, you actually control your PlayStation 3 copy of MVC3 with your Vita, and on the screen, you have one-touch controls. So you can program in just a simple high attack or low attack, or you can program in something as complex as like an ultimate finishing move, all mapped to one of the four touchscreen buttons on the face of the Vita. It's very helpful.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of control that they're going to have for PS4. That's what this is for, isn't it?
This is, I believe it's going to start to bridge the gap, yes. Already, you can kind of do some stuff with the PS3s of this current generation, and even the ones before, the ones with the backwards capability. You can mess with them, but you can't do too much. I'm actually very much anticipating to see what the Vita has in line for the full PS4.
Okay. Man, so other than just the games, which is obviously what you get it for, have you explored everything else on it, like the video cameras and all that?
I have yet to mess with the video camera or the microphone, but there are plenty of apps for the PlayStation Vita. One of them that I use basically is the Netflix application. You can get the Netflix app and you can watch it right there on your Vita in HD.
It's got the camera. What else does it have on there besides the apps and camera and all that?
It's the initial Vita. When you open it up and you get it going, it's got something called Welcome Park, which basically teaches you how to use the Vita, what to do, what not to do. You know, it gives you a chance to go through all these tutorials. I've also seen up in the upper window, because you have two windows to it. Like, you can scroll up and down between them. I saw one that lets you go right to the PlayStation Network store. Mm-hmm. So you can go right to the PlayStation store and download stuff. Some particular games will share downloadable content. So if you have it on one, you can have it on the other, which is very interesting. You can also check your trophies. You can see who's on your friends list, who's not, and a whole host of other things. I'm not quite sure on what the rest of these are, but I did get an eyeball look at them, and they do look actually very plentiful.
Can you surf the web on it?
Yes.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, a little bit. The actual user manual for the Vita is online. And the second you pull up that browser, it takes you right to that manual. Because I had to see how long it takes to charge the battery. And I was like, oh, hey, cool, it's right there. So, yep, it is definitely capable of doing that. There is a difference between the Vita. There's two Vita systems. One of them is a 3G, one of them is a Wi-Fi. So if you're on 3G network, you're going to incur some serious charges if you're not careful with that Vita.
Yeah, you have to watch those data charges.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like kind of like the PS3, the what did it come with? The one was an 80 gig. Well, I forget what the other one was.
60.
Yeah, so same thing here is what you're saying. 3G or Wi-Fi.
Pretty much. The 3G bundle, you actually have to sign a contract with AT&T, and then you can use the 3G stuff for however you feel. One of the apps on there is Google Maps, and if you have your 3G, there's a GPS system inside the Vita that will let you see where you are on a map at any given time.
Okay. So
that way you can kind of like lead yourself out of danger.
I know you don't have one, or do you have one, an iPad?
Beth does.
Can you see this replacing the iPad?
That's... I don't see it replacing it, but I see it actually existing or coexisting peacefully alongside it. The Apple juggernaut is just way too big to try to replace something like that.
Okay, so far you're happy with. Again, you haven't explored everything on it yet, but from what you see so far, you're happy.
Very happy. Next week on my comics commentary, I'll dedicate just a little bit more time, and I'll tell you guys a lot more about the features of the Vita and what I think of the stuff coming out once I've had some more face time with it.
Yeah, so there you go. It's the PlayStation Vita out today. We didn't get it here on the show, but David Lee did. Again, belated happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your birthday present. And I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to ask you what are you going to talk about. We'll surprise him next week.
That's the whole plan.
Yeah, so we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Later.
The Geek Speak Show will be right back. The Romo Report on the Geek Speak Show. Powered by Collider.com, RamaScreen.com, GeekTyrant.com, and Romo's Geek Cred. Here's Romo.
Hey guys, it's Romo. First, let me welcome Violet to the show. Can't wait to meet you. It's going to be a lot of fun because when we go down to WonderCon together this year, we're going to cosplay, so look forward to that. And also, it's nice to have a girl's point of view on the show now. So welcome, Violet. I finally got to see the Amazing Spider-Man trailer. Andrew Garfield plays a very good, nerdy Peter Parker, but not Tobey Maguire, so that's okay. Sorry, move over, Mary Jane, because I got a new hottie, and that is Gwen Stacy. Yo, Gwen Stacy, will you please marry me, because I am Peter Parker, but my name is just Romo, so... This movie is just an origin story for Peter Parker, but it's not related to the comic book, which I kind of have a problem with, but it's okay for me because I do like Dr. Connor as the Lizard, and I think that's one of the best villains to The Amazing Spider-Man. But it is weird how he has worked with Peter's dad because, to what I know, that never happened. Now, I'm not going to bash The Amazing Spider-Man movie because I'm glad there's new life. But let's just hope that the studio doesn't destroy the movie with Venom. Come on. Venom, really? I mean, the Sandman was cool, but Venom? As far as TV goes, I'm going to say that I'm on the same boat with Henry when it comes to Alcatraz. It's getting too predictable and repetitive. You know, Henry's right about the Convict of the Week, and I'm afraid that it will go the way of Undercovers did and will be canceled. JJ, take a hint from us and just please focus on Fringe and save it. Now, I saw the pilot for NBC's Awake, and I like what I see. It's like a dream within a reality. You know, I couldn't help but think of Inception while I was watching it. And, you know, I really did like it. So I'm really happy to watch it next month on NBC. Now, if you guys didn't see it yet, head on over to our Facebook page and click on the link section of NBC.com. The River. Yay, The River. The River was okay. Just saw the new episode. It was all right. You know, I can only see why they're only scheduled for 8, because 3 episodes in, I can't stand Teskel. Now, I know that's the husband of the missing doctor, but you just do not get emotional and jeopardize the safety of your crew. That's very important because now they're blind, and because of that, I do not like your character and I wish it dies. So, now, speaking of another character I wish dies, Lori from The Walking Dead. See, when you act emotional, you make dumb decisions, which get you into a car accident with the zombie. And because of that, you deserve to get trapped and attacked by two walkers. In The Walking Dead, you do not act emotional because you have to survive. So, Lori, I don't like you. But I do give you kudos because you sure know how to use a gun. And because of that, maybe Glenn can get some shooting tips from you and Andrea instead of playing dead. Come on, Glenn, really? Well, this episode wasn't as good as the mid-season premiere, but I do like the fact that Team Shane and Team Rick will finally go head-to-head next week. I forgot to talk about Comic Book Men last week, maybe because I thought I was watching an episode of Antiques Roadshow. It's cool that they geek out, you know, because I'm a geek myself and I do geek out. Hello, it's the Romo Report. But don't just appraise toys and comics. I understand that, you know, you guys are in a comic book shop, but can't you guys just talk to the creators of these comics and movies that you love so much? I mean, come on. Am I really watching an Antiques Roadshow in a comic book shop? Come on. But I do love it. What can you say, right? I'm a geek and I like to geek out. That's it for this week. I'll let you know what catches my eye on next week's report. So until then, geek out and see ya.
The Romo Report. Powered by Collider.com, RomoScreen.com, GeekTyrant.com, and Romo's Geek Cred. And now here's the Geek Speak Show Book Club. Here's Henry and Romo.
Now that was Romo with the Romo Report. Thanks for that. So, I guess you like The Walking Dead also?
Yes.
Sort of. Not really. So now time to do the book club this week. I have I've done a lot of firsts on this show, so I'll do another first today. And that is, I told Romo, I used to say before that there's no graphic novels allowed in the books, it's an actual book. But, have one right here in my hands, you actually do read it, don't you? So, it is, I guess it does count as a book. The Sons of Liberty, we've had him on before, the Lagos brothers, Alexander and Joseph. This is the one I'm holding is the first book. I've actually had the second and third ones. They're on the third one as we speak, as a matter of fact. So this is producer Damien liked this when they came on because you're not only music geek, our history geek also. This is what it's about. And obviously there weren't superheroes in back then, but that's what this story is about. It has two slaves who become superheroes during the birth of our country. You guys read it, Sons of Liberty. You'll love it.
Yeah, we don't want to get too much into it though. Just
you have a book this week, or you didn't pick one this week?
I have a comic book.
All right, get out of here. Violet, did you pick one? Because I kind of forgot to tell you all about this book club. I was just so excited to have her on.
Well, the book I picked was from the Charlie Bones series. I had read it from probably when I was in middle school up to high school, maybe elementary. And it's follows the main kid, obviously Charlie Bones. That's what it's named after. And he goes to an academy or a school that's full of kids that are more of the supernatural abilities. I guess that's what you would call it.
Tower prep. That's where you got the idea.
And
kidding, Paul. Kidding.
I really liked that when I was young, and I read that for a long time.
So, what is it called again?
The Charlie Bones series. I think it's by I know the last name is Nemo for the author. I think it's 2 M's.
Hey, find them. So, how many books were there? You said it's a series. How many books were there? Do you remember?
I want to say up to now it's 8, but it might be more.
Okay.
Now.
So the Charlie Bones series, that's Violet's suggestion for all of you. Mm-hmm. All of you suggest some to us. Books at thegeekspeakshow.com. Books at thegeekspeakshow.com. Remember, has to be sci-fi, horror, your favorite, and Romo's, or fantasy. or biographies, as long as it's somebody like Stan Lee or George Lucas or Steve Jobs or something like that. People that we geek out about, that create the stuff that we geek out about. Books at thegeekspeakshow.com. Here, waiting for Carrie Jo Tucker. She said she was going to suggest some books. She was our guest last week, author, so she reads a lot of fantasy stuff. So waiting for that. We'll get some of hers, but we'll get some of yours if possible. We'll talk to the authors, except if it's J.R.R. Tolkien or somebody, because it's kind of hard to do that without a seance, at least. So, you ready, young man?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's talk TV.
All right.
What say you? Should we start with your show?
Yes, I think so.
So, yeah, we're after the break. This is the second episode of Back from the Break. You haven't gotten into it yet. Your whole family does,
No,
but
not yet.
since you do so great with scary stuff. But she was telling us over the break while Rowan was yapping away with his report. She did tell us, I'm going to watch it tonight. Yay for me. So
hopefully I can handle it.
Yeah, I think she can. The Walking Dead, one thing I like about it is a lot like Help I'm Alive, the TV series, the web series that we talk about here on the show. Yeah, the zombies are there, the walkers as they call them, but it focuses more on the characters, more character driven. But when the walkers are on screen, it does get intense and gory. I will warn you about that.
I'll bring a pillow.
Yeah, don't eat while you watch this. It's kind of like me and Fringe. You can't eat when Walter's doing his experiments.
But food is my thing. I couldn't not eat watching TV.
Yeah, good luck with this one. So, what is it called? Trigger Finger.
Yeah.
Something Trigger was the name of the episode this past weekend. What did you think? We'll start with you. It's your show.
Okay, well,
you didn't create it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I did watch it, and it was really good. I have to say that Glenn, Stephen Young's character, Glenn on the show, he really stepped up on this one. He's been stepping up a lot. Well, obviously within the first two shows that we have seen so far, and as well as the other ones as well. But this one, he's really been stepping up because, he was shooting and he missed. He was trigger happy, but he really stepped up and really helped out Rick, and I thought that was really cool.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
In case some of you haven't seen it yet, Violet, we're looking at you. In case some of you haven't seen it yet, the scene in the bar when it looked like he got shot, but he actually wasn't. That told me that I care about these characters because I was actually kind of holding my breath, like, oh no, I like Glenn, don't shoot him yet, don't kill him off.
Yeah.
So good job, everybody, the writers and everybody, and of course Steven for being Glenn. You're doing a good job. We care about you. If it was
very much so.
Yeah, if it was a character that you kind of like a lot of people a couple months ago with Sophia. They were like, all right, you know what? Kill her already. You guys keep looking for her, either find her dead or something.
Yeah, they were talking about her on Talking Dead after the Walking Dead show.
Yeah, not with Glenn, that character. You want him to live. You like he's one of the main ones. You like him.
Yeah, definitely. So, are you Team Glenn, Team Rick, or Team Shane?
I'm still. That's the other thing. I was talking to Romo on the phone that night after we had finished watching The Walking Dead. And I think I'm starting to leave Team Shane and starting to go over to Team Rick.
Oh, I was always Team Rick. Always.
Yeah, both of you guys were Team Rick.
Always. The thing about Shane is...
Like
Shane,
it's Twilight over here or something. Huh?
No, that's it. Shane is okay, but the thing is, Shane is, he's a little, he kind of plays the fence on some things, and, he's a little sneaky.
Well, I've said, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't read the comic book, the Robert Kirkman's comic book, Walking Dead, not the TV show. In the comic book, Shane is long gone by now.
He's already killed off by this point.
In this one, he's supposed to be one of the villains in the group, but you like him. He actually makes the right decisions that you like him so much that you like him.
Sometimes he does.
In this episode, finally, he does a few things that make you really want to hate him and hope that Rick does do that quick John McGraw he did last week in the bar at the end. You hope he does do that with Shane. And it looks like in the teaser,
and the next
it'll happen. Well, it hasn't happened yet. Like 4 days from now. Well, if you're listening on Wednesdays, 4 days from now. So you liked it then?
Loved it.
Okay, so
Team Rick.
Yeah, still doesn't disappoint. Ratings, like always, fantastic. Comic Book Men. Have you seen that? The Kevin Smith show right after?
You know
Walking
what?
Dead?
I saw a little bit of that. In matter of fact, they had a gentleman on who had A lightsaber.
Batmobile?
No, a lightsaber.
Oh, you're talking about the very first one was
the
when
very
guy
first
brought
one.
in the Batmobile.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that one more.
Okay, so last night they had on a guy who.
Spoiler alert.
Had on a
Violet, say spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
There you go.
3 times, like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, so you can't say we didn't warn you. Go ahead.
Okay, so last night they actually had on a guy who had actually the lightsaber.
The hilt.
The hilt from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I saw some of it, but I actually came in on that particular part where the gentleman came in with the lightsaber.
This is okay. I mean, this is you and I and Romo. We've been to different comic shops around the Bay Area. It's pretty much taking what we see there and putting it on
TV. That's all.
Plus sprinkle in Kevin Smith's podcast.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought when I saw it. I was like, okay,
so,
we're doing the same thing.
I mean, I like Kevin Smith. Well, not. I've never really liked a Kevin Smith movie, like Clerks and that. I never really liked him. I've seen him. It's not that I don't get it. I get it. They're just not that funny. But I do love his writing when he was writing Daredevil and all that stuff. I do like that Kevin Smith. And so this comic book, man, hasn't really impressed me that much. I mean, I can DVR it and watch it later. I don't need to watch it live. Talking Dead, do you watch that?
Yeah, I do watch that. I was actually watching it last night. I watched the whole thing all the way through for the first time.
Yeah. Chris Hardwick will be at this weekend again at the Image Comic Expo in Oakland, California. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, go on our website. There'll be a link on there somewhere. I'm looking at you, Producer Damon. There'll be a link there somewhere. You can get your tickets. If you haven't gotten them yet, you will see them. You'll see Chris Hardwick. You'll see Talking Dead being done live. It'll be Chris Hardwick, like usual, but it'll just be Robert Kirkman, the guest. So they'll talk all that. Maybe they'll give you some spoilers of what's coming up at the end, Governor. So that'll be this weekend. Look for our interviews with Chris Hardwick and Robert Kirkman and everybody from The Walking Dead. I didn't get to see this one. I sometimes catch it. I sometimes don't. It's not important that I see it or not. No, Chris, not because I don't like your show. It's because I need to go to sleep.
Well, yeah, no, they actually went into pretty much Stephen Young. He was pretty much talking about how he grew as a character from the first season all the way up until this particular point now. Because at this point, because Shane and Rick pretty much they dominated the whole set for the most part. They had such a presence, so now he's starting to become pretty much the third person really in line. And then we can't forget about Lori too, Rick's wife. So she's really stepping it up as well. So he was talking about pretty much how she pretty much came into her own and how much of a presence she had on this past episode of Walking Dead.
In case you can't tell, Producer Damien really likes The Walking Dead.
Can't tell.
Yeah, me either.
You can't tell?
No.
What I can tell is that it lost me. Alcatraz, I didn't even bother watching it this past Monday.
Alcatraz who?
Exactly. It's on the DVR. Matter of fact, the last 3 are on the DVR. I haven't even touched them. It lost me.
You've been at my house lately, huh?
No, because it's become what Romo and I were talking about. I think he mentioned it in his Romo report. I wasn't really paying attention. I was talking to you guys over here. It's become too much not the monster of the week, but the convict of the week, and it doesn't. Yep. The formula doesn't change.
Well, it's like Undercover. It's just it's the same thing, you know. And
see, Undercover's, I don't think it was the formula. It was the lack of formula and lack of chemistry with the actors that did it.
But Alcatraz is just not changing it up. It's just the same thing over and over again.
And people get tired of that. I mean,
there's only so many shows we can watch a week.
The first one was enough, and you got the whole.
You pretty much
whatever
got the
you
whole
missed already.
Thing there. So
the River actually liked this. It was a lot better than the prior weeks, and we only have 4 or 3 episodes left. Yeah, he's keeping count over there, producer. You gotta say 3. People can't see you holding up 3. That was just for you. But yeah, it was good.
It was for you.
They're still using too many tricks, for my taste, from Paranormal Activity. Yes, I know it's Oren Peli, but it's too many tricks from Paranormal Activity. Again, speeding up the time at the bottom, the time, what do you call it, the timestamp on the cameras, that obviously comes right out of Paranormal Activity. Not cheap jumps, but just kind of predictable jump moments that are, again, that's probably why I don't jump, because I know it's coming. And in Paranormal Activity, it's also known that when you think the jump moment's going to come, it doesn't. But the next second, that's when it comes.
Paranormal only had 2 jumps each film.
Yeah. So, but I am liking the River. I'm liking the story. I'm liking the way it's going now, and especially now that we're getting closer to the end.
Yeah, same here.
Speaking of getting closer to the end, where's my theme? You guys hit it. Our show, Romo and I show, Fringe. I thought last week was good. This week was the best episode so far of Fringe. And I can't wait for Fringe Friday. Yes, I'll tweet about it and you guys watch it live. Even though I was holding my breath because a couple of weeks ago, Fox had made the announcement that this is House's last season.
Yes.
Because they're having the meetings with all the shows. And I told you guys, I think Romo and I talked about it. Fox said that they're losing money on Fringe. It's so expensive. The ratings are okay, but it's not enough to keep it alive. And they were going to sit down and talk to the Fringe team, and not Joshua Jackson and everybody, I mean the writers and director behind them, and see what they were going to do with it. Last week we were supposed to get the yay or nay, it comes back or it's canceled. We haven't gotten it, so we're still waiting for the shoe to drop on that. But it is very good. And next week, this Friday, I keep thinking it's next week, but this Friday, we finally get the answers. What are the observers? And there was a little hint at the end. I got to watch it again. Went a little fast. I think Peter Bishop somehow is an observer, like I was theorizing about it. Producer Damon's looking at me like, what are you talking about? He doesn't watch Fringe. He doesn't want to jump in the middle of a show. He hates that, like I do. Grimm is Grimm. It's good. I still like the story. It still hasn't lost me, so I'm there for that.
Grimm, huh?
Yes. What else do we watch? We talked about your Walking Dead. Not out yet. It'll come out in a couple of weeks. I told you, Romo, I actually watched it a couple of times. Awake. NBC's Awake, starring Jason Isaacs. Very Inception-like. Very, very good show. You guys can go on our Facebook page. I have a link on there. NBC's showing it to you. You're getting to see the pilot, the whole pilot, a couple of weeks before it starts. March 1st is when it would actually premieres on NBC at 11 o'clock. Stars, not Snape. What's his name? Lucius Malfoy. Jason Isaacs. Lucius Malfoy. He is the Dominic Cobb character. A lot of, when you're watching it, you can't help but think of Inception, but this one is a little bit more reality based. But the thing with that is which is the reality. It is pretty good. I like that one. Plus Jason Isaacs, he's a good actor. So that's coming in March 1st. But you guys, like I said, go on our Facebook page. It's on there, a link, and you can watch. I don't know how long they're gonna have it, but if it doesn't work, not my fault. Go complain to NBC.
Then they have to wait till March 1st.
Exactly, at 11 p.m. What else do we have? What else do we watch? Yeah, that's it.
That was about it. Yeah,
Terra Nova hasn't come back, and Falling Skies hasn't come back yet, although I did see a trailer for it. It is coming. So we'll talk about those when they come. How was that for your first show?
Sounds good.
You're not running away? Well, you're still here. You didn't run out. So.
Well, I would have been out the door like a while ago if that were true.
So she likes it. You didn't scare her away. You're standing next to her this time, not Romo. Maybe when Romo comes, that's a whole different thing. Maybe that'll make her run away.
Have a food contest, huh?
Oh, I'm sure I can out eat for food.
Okay, we got to do video on that. When we go to WonderCon, the food there is a little expensive, but it is pretty good because it's right next to Disney. It's Disney food. Everybody knows Disney food is good.
Oh my god, I love.
We'll have
Disney
you guys do a contest who can eat the most. Yeah, there's a reason to tune into our YouTube channel. So again, welcome to Violet. Everybody, email her. Her email is violet@thegeekspeakshow.com. You can say hi, welcome, or just say hi. Don't scare her.
Yeah, please.
Give her a month.
Don't be mean, y'all.
Then you can send her those emails that I get. You can send them over to her. She'll deal with you guys. She can't hurt you, by the way. She said that when we first introduced her.
Yeah.
She does know kung fu.
I used to kickbox a lot.
Yeah, see, there you go. What am I got to tease? What do we have? I have the producer here. What do we have next week?
We have...
How would I know, Connie?
Well, you're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, good. Okay, we'll do. Okay. Which means I guess I got to book somebody for next week. So we'll see you all next week. Everybody say bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
That's it for this week. Come back next week for an all-new episode of The Geek Speak Show. In the meantime, follow them on Twitter, find them on Facebook, subscribe in iTunes, and listen to past shows and special features on the Geek Speak Show YouTube page. YouTube.com/GeekSpeakVideos. We'll see you next week. Tell your friends about The Geek Speak Show. The Geek Speak Show.